Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to another edition of the EKN Debrief. It is episode number 44, April the 2nd, 2019. My name's Rob Howden, joined by David Cole for another one of our Debrief podcasts. And again, we thank you for tuning in to the EKN Radio Network. The event that we're looking at today, essentially the first race of our dual weekend double-double, the hashtag that David and I put on this kind of crazy run here at the end of March and the start of April with 4 races over 2 weekends. The event, the WK Manufacturers Cup Series race at GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville, the BBS Nationals. Got a big script, a lot of stuff to work through here. David, of course, will quarterback it. He was our man on the scene in Mooresville. But let's get things underway by talking about our presenting sponsor for this particular episode of the Debrief, IAME USA East. IAME USA East is the East Coast distributor of the hottest 2-cycle engine program in American karting, featuring the SSE 175cc shifter, the X30, KA100, and Swift engines, which can all be found at club, regional, and national racing events. IAME USA East supports strong programs like the United States Pro Kart Series, WK Manufacturers Cup, F-Series Gear Up Challenge, Texas and Great Lakes Pro Kart Challenges, the Route 66 Kart Racing Series, and the Sunshine State Karting Challenge. Find more information on all their products and all of their dealers at IAMEUSAEast.com. All right, David, again, you were trackside at GoPro Motorplex. You've been there more than one time over the last couple of years. Fantastic facility in Mooresville, North Carolina. And again, the WK Manufacturers Cup firing up for the first time since Daytona back in December.
It was roughly about 90 days since WK has been in action, dating back to Daytona Kart Week that was held between Christmas and New Year's. So yeah, a little bit of time between races for the series, which typically happens with Daytona being the first official event of 2019, but yet still in 2018 calendar each year.
All in all, though, it seems, I think that, with that gap, there is that one-off race. Daytona's that race between Christmas and New Year's. It's part of the Manufacturers Cup. But really, if you think about it, as you said, 90 days, essentially 3 months since you went racing, this is when all the WKA drivers who run the Manufacturers Cup are like, all right, let's get back at it. Time to get into the schedule.
It's the time to start thinking about championship. Yeah, because Daytona is really that one-off. Everybody goes there and wants to win there. Championships aren't really in the minds of a lot of the racers. So yeah, now is the time where drivers and teams started thinking about championship wise.
David, I know that when we talk about you going to Mooresville, more often than not, you're talking about potentially being there in the rain. And I know that you put a lot of fault on Mooresville, North Carolina, when really it could just be you, because, for the start of this season, you brought rain with you wherever you went. You do realize that.
I'm 4 for 4 right now on events and rain. So wow. The Tucson was a little bit of a sprinkle, nothing, where guys were like, oh my God, we got to change over to rain tires.
Yeah.
But all the other 3 events were rain racing. So
that's tough for you. That sucks.
It's, this year it's my fault, but again, I told everybody it was going to rain in Mooresville, and it did.
Yeah. Well, give us an update. Like what kind of weather did you have? I was in Texas, obviously. We were cold. It was a cold weekend there. What about you, where you were?
Well, it was great to finally get warm weather because both Cal Speed events in Tucson weren't exactly, the warmest weather that you want when you leave the snow. I mean, it was warmer. There was no snow, but this weekend was actually, shorts and T-shirt weather on Friday and Saturday. And so that was great. The great part of it. So sunny weather throughout both days. We had rain early Sunday morning. So by the time practice began, it was a wet track, but it wasn't raining anymore. And thankfully, the track continued to dry out throughout the day. And by the time pre-finals came up, everybody was back on dry tires, and it finished under sunny conditions. So overall, it was a good weekend. But you always, anytime you throw the rain in there, it throws a little bit of hitch at people.
Yeah, it makes things a little tougher for sure. Carts get dirty, a lot of cleanup. But then, as you said, kind of the flip-flop back and forth in terms of chassis setup and putting on the reins and how much of a setup you change. I know that it's always a bit of a hassle when rain comes and isn't just rain. If it's going to rain, it's going to rain. people say just one or the other. Now, David, in our overview sections of all these debrief podcasts, when we get things underway, we kind of look at some of the numbers. How did things look at the Manufacturers Cup race at Mooresville in terms of entries?
Entry total wise was 119 for the weekend, which is a little bit down from the 136 that they had at the March event in 2018. But when you kind of look over at the categories, everything was above 10 or above. So again, double digits for all the 8 categories. The largest categories actually were the Micro Swift at 20 and Briggs 206 Cadet at 18. I mean, those were the 2 biggest categories of the weekend, and provided some great racing as well. KA100 Junior was 17. This was the first official race for KA100 Junior at GoPro in WK Manufacturers Cup Series as an official class. So we have nothing to back that off of. But Micro was bigger. Briggs 206 Cadet, which was local option last year, was up 8 entries as well. So and again, overall good numbers. KA100 Senior stayed about the same at 10. Really, the downer were IME Junior and IME Senior dropping by more than double digits. So 14 in Junior and 13 in Senior.
Any indication in talking to the people when you're in the paddock as to why that is? There's just so much racing going on. Like, you look at our debriefs, Dave, how many we've had already. There's probably been almost maybe even 10 races that you would call national level. There's been a lot of racing going on already.
There's a lot of racing going on. There's a race going on this weekend in Ocala, Florida. So that takes up a lot of the, not everybody can go back to back on race weekends. So it's kind of a pick and choose type situation. But, basically, if you look at all the numbers, there's a lot of local racers that were there racing WK Manufacturers Cup Series. So that helps to boost the numbers. But when you look at championship wise, how many people are actually going to be competing at all these events, it kind of tends to be a bit lower than what the actual numbers show you.
Yeah, great point. There's, that's a podcast in and of itself. There's just so much racing going on right now that, people are just going to be able to race so much. And as David, as you pointed out, not everybody's primed up to go back-to-back weekends. And that's just part of what we're doing right now. There's a lot of fighting right now going for market share, and we've got tons of races, whether it be regional or national level racing. There's just a lot of racing going on. Well, we are underway with episode number 44 of the EKN Debrief. This is David's essentially review of the Manufacturers Cup race, the BBS Nationals at GoPro Motorplex, which took place last weekend, March the 29th to 31st. Folks, stick with us. When we get back, we'll jump into the paddock pass. David can kind of give us some of the input of what he was able to pick up walking around the pit area at GoPro.
Hello, karting fans. This is Gabby Chavez, and you're locked into the EKN Radio Network.
In a sport where the difference between winning and losing is measured in hundredths of a second, you can't afford to leave anything on the table. You invest in the best equipment, the latest components, and top-of-the-line data acquisition systems. Anything to find one more tenth, right? I'll tell you right now, the best investment you could ever make is in yourself. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the new state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy uses the very best equipment, Burrell Art Carts. They offer half-day, 1-day, 2-day, and 3-day clinics. They have a one-on-one student-to-instructor ratio, and they will design a customized curriculum for each student. Alan Rudolph is one of the most respected people in the sport, and he has nearly 20 years' experience training drivers, including Chase Elliott, Neil Alberico, Austin Versteeg, and Sabre Cook, and rising stars like Pietro Fittipaldi. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Start off your season with a driver tune-up. Tune up your season with some driver coaching. Or get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. For more information, visit speedsportsracingpark.com/racing-academy. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at franklinkart.com, where all of our products are just a mouse click away and we ship daily. We're constantly adding new products to our online store, so keep checking back. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, and of course, our championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find molecule cleaning products, minus 273 racing gloves, micron gauges and components, and both MG and Bridgestone tires. If you're ready to take your racing to the next level, come and join us at Team FMS. We've been supplying racers with start-to-finish support at race events for many years, from providing a helping hand on a weekday test outing or at a club event, to full arrive and drive packages at the highest level of karting competition. For 2019, we'll be attending the SuperKarts USA Winter Series, WK Manufacturers Cup, United States Pro Kart Series, and the Route 66 Kart Racing Series. And we'd love to have you under our tent at Merlin Nation. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com.
This is Chris Wheeler, and you're listening to the EKN Radio Network.
Welcome back to episode number 44 of the EKN Debrief, of course, here on the EKN Radio Network. We're pleased that you're tuning in, and hopefully you've downloaded the mobile app to your phone or your iPad or whatever it may be, so you can listen to us on the go. Moving now into the Paddock Pass section, this particular edition of the Paddock Pass presented by Mad Old Nut Racing and Croc Promotion USA. The shift is on to a new brand and a new way of thinking. Croc Promotion USA is the American importer and distributor, and Mad Old Nut Racing is the official race team. We're ready to attack in 2019, and our results speak for themselves. We're winning races and championships, and we're running up front. Croc Promotion USA has momentum. Dedicated and talented young drivers, supported and mentored by team owners who know business and who are passionate about karting. That's Croc Promotion USA. That's Mad Old Nut Racing. Search for us on social media and give us a follow. All right, David, I know not a lot of notes down here for the Paddock Pass, but what was kind of the talking points, in the pit area for this particular event of the Manufacturers Cup?
Well, it's more gossip than anything.
All right.
Okay. I mean, when there's not a lot of news items that are coming about, you kind of go with what people are talking about. And Friday it was Tiregate 2019.
What's Tiregate 2019?
There were no tires available for people to purchase.
What?
Again, it's a strange situation because WKA got into the point of providing race tires for everybody on every weekend, which was included, kind of what SCUSA does and other programs do, where they, I believe this was last year. And so in your entry fee was the cost of the 2 sets of tires that you needed for the weekend. So when you paid, you made sure your tires were there. Now that didn't include rain tires, because again, that's a whole separate situation.
Yeah.
So this year, they heard a lot of people complain about not being able to use their local, tire distributors or dealers to be able to use the tires they want to use. So WK decided to go back to the way it was, where competitors were responsible for their own tires, no matter if it's practice or race tires, period.
Yeah, we've heard that back and forth, right? Does the series provide the tires in the entry, or do they open it up for local shops, dealers, and teams to make whatever the minimal profit is off selling tires? So it doesn't sound like this all worked well, seeing as you've named it Tiregate 2019. How'd it go?
Well, so yeah, they've put it back in the hands of the racers, and the problem throughout Friday was people trying to find enough tires to be able to practice and race on throughout the weekend. Okay. And it really boggles, Kart Sport North America, they ran out of tires that they had available on hand. Franklin Motorsports brought enough tires and sold out of those as well before, lunch Friday. I'm not sure Top Kart USA had very many, if at all, aside from the ones that they needed for their racers. And I'm pretty sure Nitro Kart had the tires available for them to race on. So a lot of it has to do with racers not being prepared coming to the racetrack as they should. And a lot of it has to do with just the kart shops not having enough tires on hand to supply the demand at the racetrack, which again is a very tough number to try and track.
Hey, listen, I've got a great idea how to fix this. Maybe the series should just sell the tires as part of the entry fee.
No, Rob, no, we can't do that. Nobody wants that. The shops want to be able to sell their tires, and the competitors want to be able to buy those tires from whoever they want to buy it from.
But then they'd have the tires for sure. There wouldn't be,
Well, there you go. I guess, if the tires are made of gold, everybody would have them then. Right?
Wow. That's it, right? That's the talking point we've had over the last number of years. It's okay.
And that kind of goes to my next point that we had down here. It's, I'm just kind of disappointed in what we continually see. It's not something that's happened overnight, but just the lack of respect and responsibility by competitors in the paddock. It just boggles my mind that everybody expects everything handed to them on a silver platter, if not gold platter. And I'm really getting tired of seeing our sport be that way. I mean, you gotta, and it's not just our sport, it's society in general. And that's, again, a whole big topic, but whatever. It boils down to karting as well, too. We have such a small niche community that you see it amplified more because everybody knows everybody.
Agreed.
And, one of the biggest issues that we had on the weekend was Friday, kids running around on these scooters, these motorized battery powered scooters. A person was ran down and run over by two kids at one time racing around the paddock. So they benched all motorized vehicles, all bikes, scooters, skateboards, anything. And you still saw people Sunday night during the main event still riding bicycles around the paddock after numerous and numerous announcements of no bikes paddocks or anything around the paddock. And you're not talking about a car paddock where you have to walk a half a mile. You're talking 2 or 3 blocks at the most to get to one point or the other. And it's just, that type of respect and responsibility by the people we have in the sport is ridiculous.
Well, again, it comes down to, you're saying that it's being said across the PA. Of course, they'll probably say it at the drivers' meeting as well. It comes down
across the PA, across the race monitor apps, across the drivers' meeting.
And that comes down to parents,
everything.
though.
I mean,
right? The parents have to handle this. Park the bikes. Don't bring them.
No, Rob, it's adults riding bikes. That's what I'm talking about. The kids, sure, they were done. But when you say no bikes at all, these adults still don't care. They don't have the respect that should be shown. When you are at somebody else's place, you're at somebody else's event. If I come to your house and you say no shoes allowed in the house, and I start walking around with muddy ass shoes, that's just a lack of respect. It's just that type of. It just really irked me throughout the weekend to continually see that by people who they're just lazy. Yeah.
You're right. That's really just disappointing to hear. This is something that we see it on paddocks everywhere, and essentially, I don't know of a place we go to really that they really allow it. I know some people are lenient on it. I know I was down at the Texas Pro Kart Challenge deal, and there were kids boogieing around on the electric bikes and electric or motorized scooters or whatever it may be. I agree. It's number one, if you're involved in the insurance side of this thing, it's a nightmare. It's something you don't want to see because there's danger around every corner. As you said, someone got ran over. I hate to hear that, obviously I can hear it in your voice that you're just very disappointed with it. And that's something it's got to get cracked down on somehow. Right. And how do you do it what do you do? Did you park the person?
That was the thing. Like they were going to start, confiscating bikes and stuff like that. But again, I mean, when you still see 5 or 6 people still riding around, I mean, it's almost like you got to stop racing event, but you can't stop the racing event because the schedule's so crammed with races that you don't have time to stop.
It's such a competitive landscape right now. What's somebody going to say? Well, you banned my kid, or you disqualified my kid because I was riding my bike. Well, I'm not coming back to this race.
Well, I'm not saying disqualify a person, but I'm just saying,
hey, why not?
Just stop. Well, I'm saying stop the race, like stop the actual events going on track.
You're right.
I mean, that's basically the last straw. And so it's maybe it's the 40-year-old in me that sees this stuff and makes me crabby and bitchy, but
dude, you hit 40, so you hit that crab level, right?
I got tired of saying, hey, you can't be riding your bike. Hey, you can't be riding your bike. Hey, you can't. And I wasn't in position. I'm no longer a WK trustee, so I'm not going to get on that side. I'll just voice my opinion and repeat the rules that have been stated numerous times. So that's kind of where I left things at with that.
It'd be pretty easy for someone to be marshaling the paddock and then just radio to the race control, right, and go red flag as soon as they see somebody riding a bike.
Yeah,
right in the end, that's just going to start cutting laps.
Yeah.
Hey, because you only got so much time, as you said, right? Well, we had to cut 5 laps off every main event because people were riding their bike in the middle of the pre-finals.
Yeah, and again, that's a whole other situation and discussion that for another time.
All right.
So let's move on to something positive. Let's move on to something positive.
Was there any positive chatter in the paddock?
Yeah. Well, just talking about the upcoming Charlotte Motor Speedway event that WK will be hosting in June. Inside the facility, not the historic racetrack that has been nestled in turns 3 and 4, but kind of a makeshift of what the NASCAR uses as a roval, as a new course that WK is trying to develop. They've done some testing this week, going around there using a couple of racers from the area, or industry members from the area. So they kind of have an idea of what they're going to do. The one thing that was brought up, though, and a meeting was held, I believe, Saturday night, was the kid carts. The way the facility is laid out, using the roval part, is it's very, you can't see everything.
Yeah.
So with kid karting, it's very difficult to be able to allow these kid karters on this massive temporary circuit that's going to be run. So WK is kind of weighing some ideas. They talked to all the parents that were there at GoPro with different options that they're looking at, and hopefully a decision will be made in the next week or two regarding kid karts at the event.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that they're obviously cognizant of what's going on in terms of trying to get this track designed well. The only thing I would just to add from myself, I just really hope that people get behind this event at Charlotte, because I think that what we're seeing is some of these really cool events starting to develop in our sport that will be marquee events that we're going to be able to market, whether it be the Battle of the Brickyard, Quincy coming back. There's just some great racing, and to be able to have an event where they're working so closely with the Charlotte Motor Speedway, I think that's big. And I understand, David, so do you. Obviously, you were a trustee for some time, and we've been around so many races. These temporary circuits or whatever, makeshift circuits, whatever it may be, there's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. Are they going to get it right the first time? No. So all I would put out there right now, and again, talking about the kid karts being their prime example, people have to be flexible and understand that the WK, the staff, everybody putting this race on, just give them a little bit of leeway, because this is a work in progress this year, next year, and beyond, right? This is a race we want to see for numerous years. We want to see it get cemented into the foundation of our sport.
Of course. And, thankfully, it's on not just a big parking lot. It is around the actual, roval part. So it's a racing surface. But again, it's designed for cars and it's not designed for karts. So it's something that, like you said, they're going to keep working on, and hopefully it'll be fine tuned after the first event.
All right, folks, that's David Cole's Paddock Pass, again brought to you by Mad Old Nut Racing and Croc Promotion USA. After this break, David's going to dive in to start going through the categories, all the racing that happened down at GoPro. Stay with us. Lots more to come.
This is Brian Jarschkrack, and you're listening to the EKN Radio Network.
You've all heard the news. Rotax Racing is back in the U.S., and RTX Karting is your link to this global program in the southern states. The first order of business for RTX is their All-Stars Finals 2019, a new event that they're holding at the beautiful Speed Sports Racing Park in Houston on April 12th, 13th, and 14th. The All-Stars Finals 2019 will feature the Rotax Engine Raffle Program, which provides the most level playing field in all of karting. This is your first opportunity in 2019 to earn a ticket to the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals in Italy, with 4 tickets up for grabs. They're also awarding 6 entry tickets to the Rotax International Trophy event in Le Mans, France, for drivers to earn an additional opportunity to participate in Italy. Registration for the All-Stars Finals 2019 at Speed Sports is now open. Head to rtxkarting.com to lock in your entry and to take your shot at joining Team USA at this year's Rotax Grand Finals.
The Kart Republic has arrived in the USA, and it's taking the world by storm. Kart Sport North America is North America's exclusive importer and distributor for Dino Chiesa's Kart Republic chassis. Kart Republic has been racking up numerous national and international titles across all classes in its inaugural year of competition, including this year's CIK FIA World Championship. The team has arrive and drive seats and support spots available for the SCUSA Winter Series, USPKS, and WK Manufacturers Cup competitions, so call us today to reserve your own winning Kart Republic. Located in Mooresville, North Carolina, on-site at GoPro Motorplex, Kart Sport also offers driver training and coaching programs, kart service and storage, and full retail sales with the top brands in the sport available in their 6,000 square foot retail space as well as their online store. Kart Sport North America. Top quality products, winning brands, and professional driver development services. Give us a call today at 855-527-8776 or visit us online at kartsportna.com.
Hello, karting fans. This is IndyCar driver Zach Beach, and you're locked into the EKN Radio Network.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network and episode number 44 of the EKN Debrief. David Cole giving us his review of the WK Manufacturers Cup event, the BBAS Nationals at GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville. This is now the race report. David will rock his way through. We'll have a quick break between the categories. But the race report today presented by Precision Karting Technologies. With over 40 years of manufacturing experience, Precision Karting Technologies is the leader in American-made components. We produce high-quality products led by our full line of chromoly and mild steel axles. Metric or imperial, standard or custom, we have what you need. Collars, keys, and bearings, we're the source for axle components in the USA. With over 70 dealers through the US and Canada, it's easy to choose PKT. Family-owned and operated, proudly made in the USA. All right, David, as you said, 8 categories on the docket down there in Mooresville for the WK Manufacturers Cup. A nice, tight class structure. I like what they've done. Have at it, my friend. Let's start with IAME Senior.
IAME Senior, obviously the fastest category of the weekend, providing some good racing throughout the weekend. Saturday, though, was a sweep by former WK champion Brandon Lemke. Lemke was able to score another victory coming back to the Merlin Nation and Franklin Motorsports back in Daytona, but this was his first victory back with that tandem, that team and operation. Lemke just swept the action on Saturday. Really wasn't challenged too much, was challenged a little bit through the heat races, but walked away with the main event win. Had Talon Yokel on his bumper along with Jarzakrak and Venberg, but contact between Jarzakrak and Venberg shook up the podium there at the end, allowing Austin Schaff to move up to the third spot on the podium.
Yeah, you got to give props to Lemke. That guy's got a ton of talent. I know he's focusing on the stock car program now down in North Carolina, but when he gets back behind the wheel of a cart, it's like he doesn't miss a beat, right? Just right.
Yeah, but one thing he needs to do is get a little more rain racing under his belt.
Okay, tell me about that.
Because qualifying on Sunday, Lemke found himself back in 10th.
What?
As Paulie Massimino was the quick driver in the wet session. Brandon Jarzakrak was right there as well, and he was able to shoot away and grab the pre-final win. But Lemke, once it got dry in the pre-final, drove his way through the field and got back up, I believe, into second spot. So, again, set up for another battle in the final. Lemke and Jarzakrak and Schaff were the three drivers that were able to get away. And Lemke just had a little bit more pace than the other two and scored a double victory weekend is what I was trying to say.
You'll get it.
And Franklin and Merlin went 1-2 with Schaff able to beat out Jarzakrak for the second spot. And then Schaff really hadn't raced since October. So this was kind of his bounce back weekend and earned 2 podiums on the weekend. So good 2019 debut for Schaff.
Yeah, big weekend for Merlin Nation, putting the big green machine up front there. Now, here's my question. Is this why Lemke probably went stock car racing? Because he's not good in the wet? You think that's makes sense, right?
Well, yeah, probably. And who knows? But that's something that he can work on, definitely.
There's that area of improvement, Brandon. Get to work. Get out there when it's raining.
And you know, with his dad being a pool guy, you would think he could handle the wet, right?
That's true. That's very true. That's a good connection. I like that. Well done, Dave. All right. So from IME Senior and what was a really good outing all weekend long for Franklin Motorsports and Merlin Nation with, as you said, Lemke and Schaff. What was the layout for KA100 Senior?
It was a bit chaotic. If there's one word to use, was chaotic. Brooke Nachman was a local driver, and she was very fast throughout the weekend. Saturday set fast time in qualifying, and then went out and won both heat races pretty comfortably. But the main event, the drivers stepped up their game. So Nachman was challenged by Byron Daly and Emery Lida, both challenging her for the top spot throughout the main event. But contact in the double right-hand corners after the hairpin put Nachman and Daly both off the course, which opened the door for Lida to cruise on to his first official WKA victory after having last year's victory taken away from him. That allowed Ari Venberg to jump up to the second spot, and Daly returned back to action, finishing up third.
Yeah, so definitely chaos. And tough one for Nachman, obviously. What about Sunday? Did she find the speed again on Sunday? Or
Sunday came out quick again under the wet course.
Yeah, it's wet, right? That's right. Yeah.
So for wet track for qualifying, was able to set fast time. Pre-final was basically a 5-driver fight. Everybody mixing it up with Lida able to come away with the victory. And then again on Sunday in the final, some more. Oh, see, I got my notes back mixed up.
That's all right. Reset.
So the contact that I was talking about actually happened on Sunday. So let me do a little quick restart here. So let's go back to Saturday. See, I messed up my notes there. So
good.
So Saturday was a duel between was contact between Pesic and Nachman. Pesic jumped out to the lead. Nachman got dropped down to third, but got her way back up to second, and then tried to get by Pesic at the hairpin, and the two made contact. So that allowed Lida to go to the win with Venberg second, Byron Daly third. Sunday, let's go back to kind of what I already said earlier. Nachman, Daly, Lida fighting for first. Contact was made in the double rights. Nachman and Daly went off. Lida then went on to score the provisional victory, but was penalized for the contact that happened in that double rights, so that he had that victory taken away. That promoted Derek Hughes up to the first spot, or to the win, who came from the 10th spot, drove all the way up, finished second, but was given a pushback bumper penalty, which took away the win. So then you go down the order and you come up with Ari Venberg, who was named the winner, earning her first WKA victory over Nate Dean and Dakota Pesic. Wow.
All right, then. Okay. Interesting. Was the class just characterized by some aggressive racing? Like, you mentioned a lot of stuff there. Was that kind of the deal?
Again, it was chaotic. It was a bit chaotic. The Nachman, it was just one of those where she didn't quite have the real estate to make the move and just drove over Pesic, and which was ironic because they actually penalized Pesic for the contact. So again, a questionable call. when I talked to Lyda about the move, he was on the outside and said Daly moved to the left over onto him, which caused Daly to spin, and then Nachman got caught up into it. But yet Lyda got the penalty. So I'm waiting because, again, the Pesic one I saw, clearly it was not Pesic's fault, yet they penalized Pesic for it. The one on Sunday, Lyda obviously is saying it wasn't his fault, but I didn't quite get to see it because I was taking some photos and was looking at, obviously the images, and didn't get to see it. So I'm waiting to see some onboard.
Yeah. Onboard is always good to see. Let's we'll say that right now. Come on, folks. Post your onboard on Facebook. We want to see it. David, let's move into Miami Junior now. You said that there was 14 drivers on track, down a little bit from last year. They had 26 there last year, 14 this time around. Which drivers were able to step things up?
Well, Daytona saw Connor Zillage just walk away and sweep the weekend down there in Daytona, and we thought it was going to be the same thing coming in. But Isaac Beekman was able to snap that streak with fast lap in qualifying. But after that, it was all Zillage, as he won both heat races and went on to score the victory in the main event, outrunning Brent Cruz and then Paige Crawford, who was making her WK Junior debut on the weekend.
Good for Paige. That's solid. What about Sunday?
Sunday, again, kind of mixed up again with the rain in the morning. Hayden Jones aboard the Nitro cart set fast time and then was able to hold off everybody in the pre-final for the win in that race. But the final, it was kind of a little bit chaotic as well too, because this was one of the fields that wasn't the largest, but it was one of the closest fields, with probably all 14 drivers within 0.3 of a second after qualifying. So
wow, that's pretty solid.
During the racing, you made an error, you would either get passed by 2 or 4 carts at one time. So
okay.
That was kind of the scene in the main event, and it actually ended up being Chloe Chambers coming from dead last, 14th, all the way through the field, as guys would not work together and kept passing, and so it just kept opening the door for her, kept opening the door. And Chambers was able to come through and score the victory over Brent Cruz and Hayden Jones.
What happened to Zillage in that race? Obviously, you said he was so strong. A couple of heat race wins on Saturday, wins the final. What happened on Sunday?
There was, as the guys were racing pretty heated, there was a little bit of contact, and Zillage got a little sideways going through the S's, and kind of, maybe tweaked his ribs a little bit that he's been kind of nursing throughout the year, and just pulled right off after the spin, obviously falling to the tail of the pack after looping it around.
One of the things I find interesting, we talk a lot about the young ladies that we have in karting. I get into a lot of conversations when I'm at the Road to Indy races or the IndyCar races, asking about some of the young girls that are coming up through the ranks. And, just as you've gone through the first 3 categories, we're talking about some really fast young girls in the WK Manufacturers Cup program. It's really cool to see. Yeah,
you add Ari Venberg and Chloe Chambers to the long list of female winners through the WK program. Yeah. It seems like the female drivers tend to shine in the WK categories a little bit more than some of the other programs that we have. But again, you look at the kid karts and the micro classes and even now mini. And then, of course, these junior categories, there's a lot of female drivers in those groups.
Yeah, I love to see it. That's fantastic. Dave, let's cap off our first half of the race report with K8 Junior.
Again, a tight field. Drivers really close together. You really couldn't tell who was going to stand out. Chloe Chambers set fast time in qualifying on Saturday. Brent Cruz and Connor Zillage both took heat wins, but it ended up being Zillage that was able to get away and score the victory. He won over last year's race winner, Tyler Wettengal, with Chambers ended up completing the podium in third.
Big field too, right? I think you said 17 drivers in the category. That's a pretty solid field these days.
Yeah, 17 drivers in the field. Again, a little bit of mix. There were some younger drivers, again, as we talk about Brent Cruz moving up, Sam Corey moving up to junior racing, and even Gavin Boychelle moving up, racing K100 as well. So it was kind of a mix of regular junior drivers, but some new ones as well.
Funny that Gavin Boschel was there because I went over really quickly. I was at the IndyCar race down at Circuit of the Americas, and they had a USAC quarter midget race there. And Aaron Likens, who we know of course, as the flagman for Superkarts USA, was there. So I thought I'd slip over real quick and at the end of the day on Saturday and say hello and have a quick chat with Aaron. Well, they were already wrapped up, which I was like, I was disappointed they were all wrapped up. I wanted to see some racing, but they had a super, super clean day and got done quickly. And as I'm walking through the paddock talking to my buddy Butch Lamb, who is their announcer there and does some race gear, I ran into the Boschel family, and they run quarter midgets as well. We talked a little bit, like we race here, and we're doing WK next week. And I thought that was cool to see him going kind of double duty, doing a bunch of different deals, running both the quarter midgets and karting. And it's cool to see him do well again.
Yeah, he was, I believe, at Battle of the Brickyard as well. So
wow.
While we were on the karting track, they were at the USAC. So
I love it.
I think that's another kid that races pretty much every weekend, whether it's quarter midget or karts.
They love it. They love it. All right, what about on Sunday? Let's wrap up KO 100 Junior.
So Sunday looked to be a Zillage sweep, setting fast time in qualifying and winning the pre-final. But the final came down to basically a last lap battle with Zillage, Cruz, and Dylan Christie in the mix. Cruz and Zillage went back and forth a couple corners in the last lap, and Cruz jumped out to the lead, and then Christie nearly got the lead again, stole it from both of them, but settled for second as Cruz took the victory. And then Zillage had to settle for third. So another great last lap battle in that category.
David, for you and I, who obviously watch a lot of these races, whether it's from the PA booth or on track when you're out shooting, there's nothing like a race like that kind of that builds that crescendo, the excitement to that last lap fight. I just love the last lap battle because it's all about strategy, right? Where do I need to be? Where do I defend? If a guy's going to defend on you, how do you make the move through that corner and get him at the next corner? I love a good last lap battle. It sounds like that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, that double right-hander after the hairpin sets up for an interesting scenario. And then, of course, going into the last corner, guys will tend to overshoot the apex a little bit, which provides a great drag race to the line, which we'll talk about after our commercial break.
Again, quick little break, as David did say here on the EKN Radio Network. When we do come back, we'll have Mini Swift, Micro Swift, Briggs 206 Cadet, and we'll wrap up the race reports of this edition of the EKN Debrief with Kid Kart. As Dave said, stick around. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network.
Hello, karting fans. This is Andy Saisman, and you are locked in to the EKN Radio Network.
As a world leader in personal racing safety products with a sales and service staff and dealer network unmatched in motorsports, Simpson Performance Products is now the official North American distributor for Stilo helmets. In addition to their wildly popular auto racing helmets, Stilo is extremely excited to have made their move into the karting community with a pair of stellar options. Stilo has two helmets designed and manufactured specifically for karting: the Stilo ST5 CMR 2016 for kids, and the Stilo ST5 Kart Snell K 2015 adult karting helmet. The company's karting helmets are directly derived from Stilo's auto racing helmets that are so popular at the top levels of racing. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, as well as Stilo's lightweight construction and unparalleled field of vision, a crucial attribute for karting. For more information on Stilo, check them out at simpsonperformanceproducts.com/Stilo or by following them on social media at Stilo USA.
You probably know Nitro Kart for making a class-leading cadet chassis, the kart that swept the 2018 SCUSA Supernats cadet divisions and has won scores of races and championships all over the country. But did you know that Nitro Kart offers a full range of karts, including a kid kart and a brand new full-size chassis? Now racers of all ages can enjoy the Nitro Kart advantage of premium components, superior performance, and a wide range of tunable handling. All 2019 Nitro Karts are in stock now, so call Nick Tucker at 704-818-7868 and order yours today.
Hi, I'm Ashley Harrow, a multi-time international champion, but most kids know me as Coach. Under the tent, we aren't just friends. Everyone grows to become family. It all breaks down to two simple choices. You can either spend your time winning with us, or spend your time trying to beat us.
Nitro Card! Race one or chase one!
Hello, karting fans. This is Sean Bailiff with Trendy Karting Group, and you're locked into the EKN Radio Network.
Welcome back to episode number 44 of the EKN Debrief. This show brought to you by IAME USA East. We're talking about the WK Manufacturers Cup Series trip to GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville, the BBS Nationals. David, into the race report here presented by Precision Karting Technologies. Let's jump into Micro Swift, or rather Mini Swift, because interesting, 21 drivers last year, 12 this year. Hopefully, would have hoped for more Mini Swifts. But in just looking at some of the drivers, you're talking about some pretty good talent here in the Man Cup this year.
It was a very competitive field with just 12 drivers, but really 3 drivers kind of set the tone throughout the weekend. One of them being Caleb Graffar, the other 2 being Nitro Kart drivers Adam Brickley and Cameron Weinberg. Those 3 really set the stage throughout the day. Graffar setting fast time in qualifying, Cameron Weinberg and Graffar each taking a heat race win. And then their battle continued on into the final. Weinberg lost the draft from the top 2, so it ended up being Graffar and Brickley racing for the win, which came down to, again, another last lap, last corner battle. And the 2 drag race to the line with Graffar edging out Brickley by 41 thousandths of a second, nice. And then Weinberg finishing up 3rd.
Good for them. Coming back, again, the theme of this whole thing is, you have that pace in the dry on Saturday. Then, as you said from the top, Dave, when you kind of gave us the overview, things kind of change. You find out who's going to be quick with the damp conditions, right? The wet conditions in qualifying. How did things go on Sunday?
Well, it was still the same guys out front. So in the Mini Swift, we didn't really see too much of a change with the fast drivers up front. Brickley was able to go out and score fast time in qualifying, but Graffar came out the winner in the pre-final. And then again, another what you expected was to be another duel between those 3, but contact happened in the opening lap between Graffar and Weinberg. Weinberg got spun around and then joined the field at the tail of the field. So that made it between a fight between Graffar and Brickley. And they went to the last lap, and in the hairpin, the 2 went side by side with a little bit of contact, and Brickley lost a chain, which allowed Graffar to go on to reach the checkered flag first. But officials marked Graffar down for unavoidable contact, and basically took the victory away. So that gave the win to Danny Dzalski, with Miles Murray moved up to 2nd, and then Ava Dobson earning her first podium in the Micro Swift category.
Good for Ava. That's awesome. I saw a picture of her on social media running that mohawk, that pink mohawk. I love that. I think
nope, different driver.
I thought that was Ava.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Different driver. Yep.
No, I'll have to go look online. Who is it then? I'm sure I saw it.
Hansen, last name Hansen.
I thought, you know what I saw? I saw it on the Stilo USA deal.
That was a micro driver for Merlin. I know the last name. I can't think of her first name.
You know what? You're going to keep talking. I'm going to Facebook because I got to figure this out because I'm sure I saw this last night. I'm going to go find it. Anyways.
Yes, I know exactly the photo you're talking about.
Dude, I hear you, dog. But listen, I know I'm getting old, but I'm figuring this stuff out. All right, listen.
I'll help you out because the mini numbers are 100s. And this was a number 26. I guarantee.
Then maybe the guys from Stilo USA messed it up. Then
there you go.
I'll figure it out here.
Right.
Hey, listen. While I go search here to try to see if I'm not losing my mind, let's talk about Micro Swift because anytime you look at a program, David, you got good numbers like 20 in the young kid class. Man Cup's got 15 drivers in Kid Kart, 20 drivers in Micro Swift. Those are the drivers that are going to be in Mini, next year, the year after. So 20 drivers is a good place to look. That you've got some young talent, some young drivers in Man Cup.
Yeah, as you stated, I think it's having the kid carts in the program is helping the micro category grow with WK, and we're seeing actual micro numbers growing elsewhere too. So that's good to see. which bodes well, hopefully, for the sport in general moving forward. But this weekend, the micro category, as you said, was the biggest category that we had on the weekend and provided some excitement throughout the weekend. Jordan Sherwood set fast time in qualifying, but it was Spencer Conrad who dominated the rest of the day, winning both heat races and earning the victory in the final. Hoyt Moore ended up second, with Aiden Patty finishing in third.
Overall, solid racing with the drivers in Micro Swift. It's interesting when you and I go to a lot of these races. It's almost like they sometimes have the best racecraft. You talked about the fact, one of the last races, I think it was Mini Swift. You said the drivers really weren't working together; they were battling back and forth, whatever it may be, and they kind of were able to work their way up there, which made me laugh. You and I watch these Micro Swift classes, and they're the ones that line up, and the front four pull away, they drop a driver. The three pull away, they drop a driver. It's cool to see the racecraft within the Micro Swift racers.
Well, yeah, you can tell the ones that have developed a little bit more racecraft, but I think more so, as we talked about in the paddock pass is respect. I think each of these kids have respect for one another. They're not trying to wreck the other drivers. They're not trying to make contact or do any of that. They just want to race their friends and have fun. So that's kind of why I think this micro division provides that cleaner racing that we do see. But again, even though it's clean, it's still competitive. And this on Sunday, it was very competitive, with Conrad getting pressured throughout the day.
Nice.
By Austin Olds. Conrad ended up setting fast time in qualifying and winning the pre-final in a photo finish over Austin Olds. But the two swap positions in the main event, as Olds was able to learn from what he did in the pre-final to grab and steal the victory in the main event over Conrad, beating him to the line by 72 thousandths of a second for his first victory.
That's awesome. First victory is always good, right?
Yep. And then Aiden Patty had another podium, finishing third again. So two podiums for him, and 2 podiums for Conrad as well.
I got good stuff. So I've got the update here. I went to the Stilo USA Facebook page, and you're right. It's not Ava Dobson. It was Ava Hansen.
There you go.
Did you say Ava?
See, I didn't know they had the same first name.
Yeah, Ava Hansen. Now I guess she wears the Stilo ST5 CMR, which is the smaller helmet for kids. And yeah, she's got the blue iridium shield and the pink purple mohawk. I dig that. I think that's awesome.
Now, see, I had somebody question me. Now, when you move out of kid carts, does that mean you need to stop doing the mohawk?
I don't know. Why? Do you have to? Is it?
I don't know. Is there like just general? Should there be like an age limit for the mohawk? Do you think micro is still kind of that cool age to rock the mohawk?
I think you can rock the mohawk till you're a master's if you.
Oh god. Okay. Rock. Yep. Brad of the Brickyard. I want to see a mohawk on your
I was
helmet.
thinking more of you. Maybe I would get you a nice one, Dave.
No, I'm not a mohawk kind of guy.
I think micro's fine. Don't you think? I think micro and mini's fine. I think you keep rocking.
I think micro's fine. Yeah. I was just, again, throwing a question that I overheard on the weekend.
Wasn't there a dude that used to race Rotax like in the mid 2000s that had a mohawk on top of his helmet too, or something like that?
There was a guy racing Briggs with mohawks at Rock Island every year. So, again, I guess it's personal preference.
Have a good time, right? We talk about karting being fun, right? Have some fun with it. And I love it. I think it's great. Anyways, so yes, it was Ava Hansen, not Ava Dobson. Ava Dobson, I apologize. Ava Hansen, I apologize to you as well. I dig it. You're on it. Yeah, she does run a Merlin, and I think it looks good. That's my call. David, let's jump into Briggs 206 Cadet. I think you mentioned the fact that it was one of the bigger categories, 18 in total in Briggs 206 Cadet. So that was a first-year addition, right, to the series in Man Cup full-time?
It was a local option category. Yeah. Both GoPro events that we've been down there last year, and then now 2019, it's an official category. Running for championships. So yes, again, one of the biggest classes on the weekend. One of the most competitive classes as well too. Christopher McKeithen set fast time in qualifying, but it was Spencer Conrad and Danny Dzelski earning heat race wins, and then so add a fourth driver into that mix because it was basically a four driver pack. Racing for the victory in the main event as Artin Grimm was able to edge out Conrad and McKeithen for the victory, with the top three actually finishing 85 thousandths of a second.
Wow, were they like three wide coming across the line? Obviously,
no. McKeithen was able to push Grimm across the line. So it was a nice little shake and bake move by Grimm and McKeithen.
A shake and bake.
It was a total shake and bake because there was no way that Grimm was going to win except for McKeithen on his bumper, because he, coming out of that corner again, that over under. And Grimm pulled it off right, but didn't quite have the speed coming out. But McKeithen was right there to help push him across the line.
If you smell a crispy treat, shake and bake. All right, how about on Sunday? Everybody kind of stepping up, or how did let me ask this question: how did the 206 Briggs guys handle the wet in the morning?
Very well, and actually their pre-final was the dramatic one, as it was the shift between wet tires and dry tires.
Okay.
I didn't think dry tires are going to be able to be run with the lighter weight, Briggs powered lower horsepower. But Danny Dzizelski proved me wrong, as he was able to win the pre-final. Again, Spencer Conrad scoring the fast lap in qualifying in the wet conditions, but the dry tires ended up being the way to go in the pre-final, with Danny Dzizelski scoring the win there.
Yeah. Quick question, Dave. Was it like racer's option? Were there some guys on dries and some guys on wets at that point?
Yeah. Okay. The entire day was racer's option.
Ooh, I like it.
So that's, again, whenever you have the ability, because again, it wasn't raining.
Yeah.
When practice started, it was windy and it was cloudy, but there was no raindrops coming down. So they left it as driver's option, which was a good call to make.
I like it. Yeah. So obviously some not chaos, but some excitement, as you say, with Dzizelski going on the slicks. How did things play out in what was obviously a dry final?
So in the final, it was actually Grimm and McKeithen who were able to get away from the field at the start. And as they were negotiating some lap traffic, Grimm made the wrong decision and made contact with one of the lappers, which essentially took him out of the race. That allowed McKeithen to go on and score the victory unchallenged. Dzizelski ended up finishing second, with Nash Gerke, who I believe had an issue in qualifying and basically started last in the pre-final, worked his way all the way up to third. So a good end to the day for him.
Good stuff. Let's cap off the race report again, brought to you by Precision Karting Technologies today. Kid Kart, David, a good field, 15 drivers in the Kid Kart class.
Yep, another successful event for the Kid Karters. Scoring the victory, his first WK victory was Max Christie, as he was able to outrun Holden Harder and Colton McQuaid. Sunday, it was Harder that looked to be the driver to beat throughout the day, earning fast time in qualifying, winning the pre-final, but a slight mistake cost him the lead in the final, which allowed Christie to go ahead and score a second victory on the weekend. Jacob Scheibel slid into second, and then Harder dropped to third.
There it is, folks. That's the race report from the WK Manufacturers Cup race, the BBS Nationals at GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville. This is episode number 44 of the EKN Debrief. Before we let David wrap things up, have a look at maybe the Constructors' Championship, talk about the next event on the Manufacturers Cup Series. David, let's jump into the EKN Live race calendar, where we look at where we're going to be over the next couple of weeks. This edition of the race calendar presented by Kartlift. 15 years of bringing racers the best karting products is what Kartlift is all about. Whether it's their industry-leading winch lift motorized lift stand, their stand-up tire changer, or their chassis skid plates, you can be sure that their products are well thought out and designed to make your race weekend more productive and to save wear and tear on your body and equipment. Kartlift kart stands, built in the USA, built to last. All right, David, we had a wild one this last weekend, the first weekend of our hashtag dual weekend double. We'll be doing another debrief tomorrow. I was down at the Texas Pro Kart Challenge race in Denton. You, of course, as we just have detailed, were at Mooresville for the GoPro race for the Man Cup. We're doing it all again. It's 2 days here in the office, do some laundry, repack the suitcase and get at it. So for April 5th, 6th, and 7th, this coming weekend, I'll be heading to the Challenge of the Americas at Sim Raceway Performance Karting Center in Sonoma. Had you been going, they really would be on you because there's probably going to be wet. It's probably going to rain out there. That's what they're forecasting, and that would have been your 5th straight rain race.
No.
It'll be.
Don't worry.
Right?
Don't worry. It's coming this weekend for me too.
I'll be with Chappie, Tim Chapman on the mic. I'll probably help him out a little bit here and there, but Tim's Chappie's going to be the guy on the mic there. I'll essentially be David Cole that weekend. I'm going to handle the broadcast, handle the reports, all the social media. And as planned right now, I'm going to be getting behind the wheel as well. I'm going to drive a VLR-powered Burrell for Andy Saisman's FTK crew, getting to sample that new Rock Cup VLR engine. David, the same weekend, I'm going to be, we couldn't be much farther apart unless I was probably in Seattle or something like that, because you're going to be in Ocala, Florida for the opening round of the USPKS, United States Pro Kart Series. Looking forward to that?
It's going to rain. So no.
Is it really going to rain?
I believe today when I looked, it was Friday and Sunday going to rain.
5 for 5.
5 for 5. Well, I'm like Michael Jordan when it comes to rain.
You just keep knocking them down. Good for you. So again, a little look though at, and I know that you're working on your preview for the USPKS. I'll start my preview probably Wednesday or Thursday for the finale for the Challenge of the Americas as we look at the championship battles. They're, of course, at different ends of their schedule spectrum. Numbers I'm hearing pretty good for USPKS.
Yeah, they're over 150 for pre-entry. So
wow. Okay.
Solid fields throughout the categories. X30 Pro is one of the largest. And then you got the junior categories as well. Mini is going to be probably one of a national event with the type of drivers that are registered for that category. So an amazing event. Definitely, I want to say over 40 more entries than they had last year at Ocala. And so it's getting back to that 150 mark, which USPKS really started out with during their second and third seasons.
Well, the move to the 3-race format, I think it was big. It took some pressure off. This is the USPKS. If you're an East Coast driver, is a series that you can run. It's 3 races. You can pair it with whatever else you're going to do, and I think that's obviously paying off for them a little bit. And I hope everybody has a good run down there in Ocala. David, as we cap off the look at the EKN live race calendar, trackside live race calendar, you and I think we're both looking to Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. We finally get a chance to take a deep breath. We get to reset, essentially 3 weeks off from traveling. It's no time off from the office, that's for sure. But we're going to get a chance to kind of take a deep breath, reset, do some spring cleaning, because once we get going again in May, I know I'm on the road every weekend in May. Now I threw in my Road to Indy and my IndyCar radio stuff there as well, but I know you've got a lot of races to go to, and we get going big time starting May. But 3 weeks off, and then we head back to Utah for the first time in I think it's 7 years, right? Since the Superkarts USA Pro Tour was up at what was then Miller Motorsports Park, now Utah Motorsports Campus. The Spring Nationals, May 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
I believe it was 2013, or was I wrong in that?
I think it's 12.
Was it 12? Let me see here. No, it was 2013. Yep.
Are you really?
Nope.
Oh,
nope. That was Grand Junction. Sorry, 2012. So, yep, 2012. Yeah,
it's part of my hashtag Freedom Tour.
It was. So it's been 7 years since Scooz has been back there. It's been a few years since we've been there. We've been there with other events that have happened there.
Agreed. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to going back again. Another high class facility. Again paired with the Miller, the road course that they have there, and all the other race courses that they have there. It's phenomenal to go there.
Well, number one, I got to practice Utah Motorsports Campus, right? Because it's like Laguna Seca, right?
I almost said
Miller Motorsports. Yeah. I know Miller Motorsports Park's ingrained in our head. And the other thing is, what the hell is ERDA?
I couldn't tell you. I looked it up, and it's part of the the district that the actual racetrack is in. But I guess it has to deal with like where maybe the mailbox or the office is. But yeah.
Folks, for all the years, Miller Motorsports Park was in Tooele. Utah. Well, on everything they've got now, it's Erda, Utah.
Yeah,
I like Tooele.
It's basically a little, township or, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever it is.
Something in Tooele County. So
that's it.
It's been there. They just never used the name, which is odd. Again, a lot of places use the major town that it's near.
True.
And so, they're like, well, where's Erda? Nobody knows where Erda is. It's one of those little small, districts that nobody knows about. So when you say Tooele, oh, I know where Tooele is. Everybody, it's the little major city or town that's near the race course. So
Good point. So, folks, that's our EKN Trackside Live race calendar, again, presented today by Cartlift. David and I will cap off our dual weekend double-double this coming weekend, April 5th, 6th, and 7th. I am taking the plane to San Francisco to the final round, the finale of the Challenge of the Americas. Looking forward to that event at Sim Raceway Performance Karting Center in Sonoma. David heading down to Ocala, Florida for the opening round of the USPKS, the United States Pro Kart Series. Great numbers being called for that event. And then we get that little break in the action, kind of reset everything, and really prime ourselves for what's going to be a mad dash to essentially the end of September, as we have a ton of races to head to. That is the SCUSA Pro Tour Spring Nationals on May 3rd, 4th, and 5th. All right, David, let's wrap.
Yeah, can't we just say Salt Lake City?
You know what? We used to say Salt Lake City, did we not?
We did.
That's what we're flying into. All right, Dave, wrap this thing up. Again, this was the debrief of the Manufacturers Cup race at Mooresville. As we always do here for the wrap up, let's have a look at the championship, the Constructors Championship breakdown. Which chassis were able to notch some wins for our EKN Constructors Championship point standings?
Well, overall, we were back to the single digits. We only had 7 brands win on the weekend. We were seeing, anywhere between 10 or more throughout the weekends. But again, only 8 categories. But we just saw a number of double ups, not only with drivers, but with chassis brands as well. Leading the way was Nitro Kart, earning 4 victories on the weekend, earning their first in the full-size chassis with K100 and Emery Lida scoring that victory on Saturday. Top Kart scoring 2 in kid karts, along with a micro, with Austin Olds picking up his first win. So they scored 3 to be second place overall on the weekend. Merlin, Cosmic, Tony Kart, Kart Republic, all each scoring 2 wins apiece. And then Burrell Art with 1 victory in many, thanks to Kalo Graffar. And I think, as I was told on the weekend, that was one of the first wins in Burrell Art in WK competition. It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. You go back to the 90s, and they were winning like crazy.
Even early 2000s. So it's I'll have to look back and see when the last time an actual Burrell Art kart won in WK competition. It's got to be at least 2, 3, 4 years.
Oh, so you're not going to go that far back? Yeah, you know what?
4 years is a long time. You get a new president in that time.
No, you're right, Dave. But that would be that's that'll be a cool side note. Do some digging on that deal for sure. Folks, next event for the WK Manufacturers Cup, David Cole, of course, will connect again with Eric Brennan for our EKN live coverage of the event at C-Tech Manufacturing Motorplex, essentially the kart track at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. David, you excited to head back there?
I am. There's a lot of different reasons of why. One, I'm excited to see the new pavement. The track was repaved at the start of 2018 season. Some regional competitions have already been held there last year. So they praised the new surface, which was really slick surface. And so we'll see how it fares this year. There won't be very many races run on it before the WK Man Cup Series heads there. So that'll be interesting. And again, this is the first time the program's been back there since 2010, when they hosted both Man Cup and road racing there. So it's been a while. I believe that was the last time I was there, was 2010. I raced, I think, one of the years. I can't remember which year it was, but my dad raced there that year, I believe in 2010. So it's been a while since we've been there.
Looking forward to anything in terms of food wise. I know, you're not a brats and beer kind of guy. So like, what are you thinking about when you go to Wisconsin?
Yeah, I'm not no, it's not so much the beers or brats. It's more of the Siebkens, being right there in Elkhart Lake, the famed bar and restaurant in Elkhart Lake, right there along the lake. That is for sure a stop, whether it be Thursday night or Friday night.
Yeah, if you ever go into Siebkens and look around, one of the things about Siebkens is it's a fantastic bar, racer bar for sure. Mario Andretti, you name it, AJ Foyt, the big dogs have all been there. All the road race guys have been in there. They have one of those cool pictures that's done where you see all the old racers that have been there before. Siebkens is just a legendary place. But when you go in there, everybody puts their decals up. And if you go in there, there's an EKN decal in there. There's a Shifter Card Illustrated decal in there. There's a Formula Car Magazine decal in there. We've been in there many times, David, in the years past when they used to run the road race there. And hate the fact that we're not there racing road racing anymore.
Well, road racing, I believe you're there for Stars of Karting back in the day.
You're right.
I believe SCUSA Pro Moto Tour might have been there.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Just Stars of Karting. Graham Rahal on the podium actually that year.
Okay, yeah. See, I thought they, before it shut down at the end of 2004, they were there.
I don't think so. I don't think we ever ran there. Not that I remember.
But I do remember, I do remember the Rahal Stars of Karting win.
Marco was running. I think Marco was running there at one point too. I think he was in. He might have been in like Yamaha. Yeah, with John Novoso.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to and again, this is going to be the first of two events in the state of Wisconsin, the Badger State, for the WK Manufacturers Cup Series, as of course they go to the Badger Kart Club in Dousman later in the year.
Dousman.
That
is May 17th, 18th, 19th, folks, the WK Manufacturers Cup at C-Tech Manufacturing Motorplex at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. You can find David Cole trackside or having a rum and coke at Siebkens. So
David, stay away from tequila.
Wow.
John Russell.
Yeah. And no on-offs, Dave, because that's a story I can tell. That's a story.
That's all your fault.
It is my fault, for sure.
That part is your fault. The rest of it was John Russell.
No doubt. It was. There's been a lot of great times at Road America, a legendary facility, of course, for any kind of car racing, but karting as well.
Well, yeah, and think about the number of people that have never raced there. I mean, with WK not being there for 9 years, I mean, that's the entire kid kart field. It's almost the entire micro Swift field. Yep. So there's a lot, there's 40, 50 families there that have never raced at Road America if they're not from the state of Wisconsin.
I've never raced a kart there. I actually went there in the late 90s when I first started working for National Kart News, and I got a chance I drove a lay down, I can't remember what it was, a lay down Yamaha pipe or something like that. I just did some laps just to check it out. I think I ran the sprint race. They used to have the sprint race with the two guys, the partner race.
Team race.
The team race. I ran that. And I've raced it in a Formula V, and I've raced it in a chump car deal, but I've never actually raced at the Super Nationals, which was the name of the Road America Super Nationals back in the day. That's something I really wish I would have done before they essentially got shut down.
If you come to my office, there's eight photos of 8 different years that I raced there. I believe there's a couple missing. I want to say 98. No, I can't see. I think 99 was my first year there.
That's awesome.
98 was my first year.
Dave, you try to tell stories to people about what that was like, and when they had 100 125 shifters on the grid, and right, it was just that was. I just remember watching. I remember watching those races from turn 5, and then walking over to Canada Corner. But watching them come down to turn 5, 6 wide, coming down into the corner. It was just the 125 shifters at the height of their road racing, time in our sport over the last 20 years. That was an absolutely phenomenal thing to watch.
It was amazing. There was nothing like it. I got to be able to take part, and I think it was maybe 80 shifters, but still just that. There's nothing that can match it, other than maybe, say the early years of the actual SCUSA Super Nationals when you were racing S2 against 80 guys, that type of thing. So we just don't see that, or Daytona, when they had 150 drivers on the grid for one class.
For one class.
for one class. So that's the type of stuff that, like you said, nobody will really understand.
It's a shame that we don't have that. And we'll cap this edition of the Debrief Office. We talk about Road America, just have a little shoot here about road racing. Early on, when I got a chance to race more, and I had my 125 shifter, I did race at Mid-Ohio, and I think there was 85 guys in the class. I started right in the middle, I think 37th or something. And man, it was just so much fun to run at Mid-Ohio, to run at a track that I'd watched IndyCar on before. And that's, 125 shifter racing on road courses is still big, guys. If you got a 125 Honda and you say to yourself, hey, there's not a lot of place for me to race anymore with my 125, my CR 125 shifter, think about going road racing. It's great people. It's a lot of fun. It's easy on the body, and you get to race some absolutely, iconic racing facilities. Not Road America anymore, but you're still on Mid-Ohio. You're still racing on some of these amazing racetracks. David, I know you and your family did a lot of road racing. So let's just put it out there. Let's just say, guys, if you get a 125 shifter and you haven't road raced yet, call somebody and think about going road racing.
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. Laguna Seca is one that we keep eyeing at. They had another successful event here, I believe, in was it beginning of March or end of February? So that was one. Yeah, I pulled up sort of 2002 results was 104 karts in the shifter category in 2002.
Wow. Man. All right, David. So here's what we're going to say then. David, this is David's 15th year working for Howden Media Group and ekartingnews.com and everything we've done. So David, as part of celebrating that 15 years, if we don't have a conflict with Laguna Seca next year, I'll make sure you're driving at Laguna Seca next year. Are you into that?
Yeah, we'll work on that. Definitely.
We'll make sure. We'll figure it. As long as we don't have a conflict with another race, we're going to get you on that, because that's a bucket list. I would love to go try that too. I'll worry about you first, me second. But we're going to make sure you're on that grid for next year.
Yeah, I took 69th overall in that 2002 race.
69th.
Because I was going so fast that I drove off in turn one.
Did you really?
I just totally just blew my mind, and I was like, what am I doing? And just overshot it and went right into the kitty litter.
No, there's not. They didn't have the runoff they have there now, right? If I recall,
they had the kitty litter, because that's the reason I had nowhere to go. I was just dumped. I got dumped in the kitty litter.
There's that huge runoff there. You miss that corner by a mile, and there's, especially in a shifter.
Right.
If we were back there, there's like 30 or 40 feet or maybe 50 feet of runoff.
Yeah,
on the outside, it's still asphalt.
Exactly.
So, all right, folks. Well, there you go. Wrapped it up with some off tangent talking about road racing. Once you get to Road America, you can't do much about that. David Cole, a fine 69th place finish in 2002.
Always fine with 69.
Wait, you can delete that, edit that out. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done for episode number 44 of the EKN Debrief. Thank you so much for joining David Cole and I, again, wrapping things up from the WK Manufacturers Cup stop at GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. Big thanks to our presenting sponsor for this particular podcast, IAME USA East. David and I will be back at it for another one tomorrow. I'll do the debrief of the Texas Pro Kart Challenge opener at North Texas Kartway in Denton. But until then, thank you so much for joining us here on the EKN Radio Network. Please, 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 if you have not yet downloaded the app, do so. Get that on your mobile device. And when you do download it on iTunes or Google Play, please leave a review. It'll help push it forward, get people to see it. So again, review us, give us a 5-star. If we're not 5-star, give us whatever you care about, but then send us a message to let us know what we can do to be better so that we can get that 5th star. Folks, thank you so much. On behalf of David Cole, my name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.